Right, so guys, this is the construction pack that I'm going to be giving you. I'm going to show you how to set up. First, I'm going to show you how to set up all the collision tags for the layers, and also going to show you how to set up the resets for the puzzles and the what's the other thing? The camera for each puzzle as well, because you have to set them all up separately. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is the tags. Sorry if you can hear music in the background. The housemates are in. Yeah. So what I want you to do first is to make yourself a brand new project first. I'm not going to do it because I don't need to, because it's all here anyway. But make yourself a brand new project. This will make sure that all of the stuff is all your settings are completely blank, because almost all of it comes straight across in the package. But the only thing that doesn't is the collision layers, and it will stop you from potentially not overwriting stuff from older packages. So just go ahead and do that first, and then once you've done that, you can in the empty, what you should see as the empty project panel is right click and then import package, custom package, and bring in the one that I'm going to send you on the Dropbox or whatever. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is on these, you're going to have to open up Mana Cannon, go to, I'll close all this stuff up, go to prefabs, and go to PF characters, and here you're going to have to set up some layers, yeah? So where you normally have tags, here you have layer tags. So in here, you need to add layers, and in here, add NPC, PC, cannon, and projectile. Once you've done that, go back onto each of the characters, and for the enemies, put them on the NPC layer. For the PC, put it on the PC layer, and then here for the walking turret arrow, put it on the projectile layer. This is important because this controls what can collide with each other. So for example, projectiles should go through each other, so there's no collision with arrows, and as previously debated, the NPCs can walk through the cannon and can't do anything to it. So once you've set all of these up to be NPC, NPC, PC, NPC, NPC, and projectile, go on to PF cannon, and on the mana cannon, set it to cannon. And if it asks you any of this, yes, change all the children as well. So they're all on the cannon layer. So if we go up here into edit, project settings, and physics, it gives us the collision matrix with all the different layers and how they interact with other things. So here, if you go from projectile, you go all the way down and untick projectile, projectile, and on this one, if you go down from cannon to PC, and untick that as well. That means cannons won't collide with NPCs and projectiles won't collide with each other. That's important just for the sake of setting up collisions in game, because for some reason that's the only thing that doesn't come across. I thought it was just me messing around with it, but apparently Jack and the other group have had the same problem with setting up packages. But yeah, that's just something that you're going to have to do. So sorry about that, it could be a pain in the arse, but hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult. So getting on to that actual gameplay stuff, the first thing is resets, and I've purposely left one of the things incomplete for you guys to fill in, just so you know what you're doing. So if you go on to demo 2, then go into the top view and look across here. So if we're setting up a puzzle for the reset, what we have to do, as I showed you in the in class the other day, is take the checkpoint, open it up, and look for the puzzle manager. And in the puzzle manager, you have an array called Go All Objects. This you need to fill with all of the objects in the next immediate puzzle. So here we've got 2 checkpoints, which means 2 puzzles. So this is the second puzzle, so you don't have to worry about this. But everything before it, you need to put into this array. Basically what it does is when you hold the reset button, it sends a message to any objects in here and tells them to run their own reset functions. So if you don't put it in here, it's not going to get reset when you press the reset button. So the first thing you have to do is count up any objects that are in the level. So what we count as objects are switches, the cannon, this box, this switch, and these two doors. So the first thing that you should do is make sure that when you're setting up a level that you've numbered everything so you know which one's which. So here, because we've got two chambers, I name them 1 and 2. So this is switch 1, 2. This is switch 1, 1, because they're both in the first puzzle. So I've named them first puzzle and then how many there are. So this is pressure pad 2 because it's in the second puzzle. Yeah? So on the doors, I've got door up down 2 and door up down 1 because they're both in the first puzzle. That's number 1, number 2. The cannon is cannon 1 because there's another cannon over here, and the box is metal 1 because it's in the first puzzle. Yeah, it makes it so much easier for setting up puzzles if you actually number your stuff properly, and also when it comes to putting stuff in the actual array on the checkpoint, you don't have to double check which one's which because you already know. So in here, we know that we've got 6 objects that we need to reset. So box metal 1 is already in there, mana cannon 1 is already in there, and we've got 2 switches, but we don't necessarily know what they are. And this is the only fiddly part of the reset that probably isn't very obvious, is on the pressure pads and stuff. If you open them up, you need to actually drag in the CG switch, because this is the thing with the reset on it. I know it's a bit of a pain in the arse, but it's just how it's set up. It would take more effort for me to change it than for you guys to learn it. So I'm going to also change this to be CG switch 1, 2, and this one to be CG switch 1, 1, just so I don't have to double check again. And I can also see which ones are actually in there already. So if we go back on the checkpoint, open it up, puzzle manager. So now we know switch 1 and switch 2 are in there. So what are we missing? We've got the box, the cannon, both the switches, we're missing both of the doors. So what we need to do is go up in here, and we know that they're door up down 1, 1 and door up down 1, 2, and drag these into the array. So now we've got the box, both the doors, the mana cannon, and both the switches. So what you should be able to do now is when we go into the game, hold on, there we go. So when you go into the game, you can move all this crap around, move the cannon. Well, you can't move the cannon because it's not movable, but we can shrink the box or grow the box and push it over there and freeze it or whatever. And then when we reset, all of the objects are reset. Yeah, the box is back where it was in the first place. It's returned to its original size. If you don't set all that stuff up first and you try to reset, then you're going to get an error. Unity's probably going to crash for about 2 minutes and you have to wait for it to start up again. So if you get a crash like that, it's probably because you haven't assigned the objects properly. If you leave any blank spaces in this array, it does the same thing. So yeah, make sure you've set all that crap up properly. And try and thoroughly test all of the things. So if I was going to check it properly, I would like basically complete the puzzle. So if we do all this, then we get out of the way. Grow that, so the doors move down, the switch is being pressed, that box is huge. We shrink this one down and plop it on here, and then we go over here, grow this one, shrink this one. This is going to push up, click, so now that door's moved. That door is back where it originally was in the first place, but that box is huge in a different position. The switch is now moved. That box wasn't even there in the first place. Don't worry, because any clones get destroyed in the reset process. Yeah, so now if we come off the cannon and reset, everything is back where it was in the first place. Yeah, apart from the way the cannon's pointing for some reason. I don't know, maybe I'll change that. But yeah, so that all stuff's reset, the clone has disappeared, the switches are back to normal, the doors are back to normal. So yeah, that is how you set up resets. Click, 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 and play. Right, so the other thing that we need to set up is camera distances. Something you might notice is when we jump on the cannon, the camera zooms out, and when we jump off it, it's going to zoom back in. It does some similar stuff, like if you move over to the cannon, like if you watch carefully, it's going to move slightly over to the side to line back up with the character. Yeah? This is a dynamic camera system, which I had to design to make the camera look nice and not janky and jagged and stuff. But, because it's a dynamic system, it requires a little bit of setup in the first place. And I'll show you how you set all that crap up. So, if we go back onto the inspector and go on the checkpoint, if we look on the normal checkpoint object this time, and we go to checkpoint PC update, there's two values. There's -40 and -50 for cam near and cam far. What this means is when you're not on the first one, cam near, means when you're not on the camera, how far away from the PC the camera is going to be. So if I set that to 5, and then we play the game, the camera's going to start by zooming right into the PC. Yeah? See what I mean? Not good. Can't see what the fuck you're doing. I mean, you can try and play it like this, but you're a dick if you do. So, if we go back, we go on the checkpoint, I need to sneeze. Do I need to sneeze? I can feel it. Oh, God. Never mind, power through. Yeah, so if we change this to 30, which it should be, then change the far one. The far one is when you're on the cannon, how far it zooms out. So if we change that to like 75. Oops, no, minus 75. Right, that's something that I forgot to say. It has to be a minus, because minus means it moves back from the PC. If you make it like regular 30, positive 30, it's going to move past the PC by 30 meters. So if you have problems with like the camera zooming in too far, that's probably what it is. So let's have a look at what it does when you do -30 and -75. So at -30, when we're off the cannon, if we stand in the center of the level, we can pretty much see everything. You can see both the switches, both the doors, the box, and the cannon, and blah blah blah. And then when you zoom out to -75, you can see pretty much the whole puzzle. Yeah? And then it's going to zoom back in when we jump off. And yeah. So, that's what that does. The reason that we do that is so that when you're off the cannon, you're only going to be able to really see the objects that you're interacting with. And when you jump on the cannon, it just means you have a bit of a wider perspective of the puzzle. I don't expect the change to be that drastic, which is why the speed looks kind of slow when you do it this way, because I'm only expecting you guys to do it to a maximum of like 25 different. But yeah, that's how you set that kind of stuff up. I'll show you what happens if you put the positive value in. As soon as you start the game, we're going to go miles past them, we're going to see the empty skybox. So yeah, that's why it needs to be negative, because negative means it moves back from the PC. Right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to take you into a puzzle sort of chamber that I've set up to show you how to do it completely from scratch. Yeah, might as well save that. Right, so in this is the test area. So go to MC test week. I don't know why it's still called week 1, but it's just the test area that I use to piss around with stuff and see what's working and what's not. So up here, I've made a little chamber. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make a. Let's go to. Where are we? I've lost us. There we go. A prefabs, interactive objects, and take a checkpoint and plop it in the scene. You can't see it because it's behind the fucking thing. I suggest if you're building things, you do it in this view, and then click these little lines here, and it'll take you from 2D to 3D view. You can still zoom in, you can zoom past stuff, but it's pretty much in 2D, and it just makes it easier to lay stuff out. Obviously for the sake of art, you're going to want to look at it from an isometric point of view for how it's going to look in the game, but yeah, anyway. So once you've dragged in the checkpoint, the first thing I would say to do is give it a number. if you're building them in chronological order, obviously you can probably just do them 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever. For the sake of this, I'm going to do 5, just because it's easy to keep track of. And for every object, remember, when you take it in, same as previous videos, you set the Z to 0. Yeah? So we can drag that down, and now it's a little bit hanging over the thing, but for the sake of the game, the actual trigger box in front of the checkpoint is on the 0 axis, which is what we want. So, once we've got that, we can bring in our PC character. I'm just going to go and pick this one up, because I don't want to add 2, because that'll cause problems. So if we take him and plonk him over here, then, yeah, that's our dude. Make sure the collider isn't going through the floor initially, or he's going to fall through it. So, set him up like there. Now if we run the game, then we're going to zoom out to a really arbitrary point, and then when we step on the checkpoint, we're going to zoom out a little bit more. That's because the initial Z-axis for the PC is a bit different to how the checkpoints are set up. So what I tend to do is just start them straight over the checkpoint, and then the first frame of the game, it will set it to the right thing that you can choose. So, once you've got a checkpoint with your PC, let's say, right, for this puzzle, we'll take a cannon, plop it down there, set it to 0. We'll take a dispenser. Where's the dispenser? There it is. Dispensers are rotated for some reason, I don't know what that's about. Or are they? No, they're not, never mind. Right, dispensers are a bit of a pain in the arse. You have to set them to -0.5. I'm not sure, it's just the way that they've imported it in Unity. To try and remember that, it's not a massive deal if you forget, but I'll move these out of the way quickly, just because it's a little bit low. Oops. I hope you're all enjoying the music, by the way. This is what I have to fucking deal with. Right. So now that's down there, I'm going to move these out quickly to about there, and drag these across. Sorry if you thought this is a waste of time, but it will be obvious what I'm doing in a second. Oops. Yeah, make sure you're using control drag? Yeah, control drag snaps to 1 meter grids, so it just makes it easier to tile stuff. I haven't set this up very well, but when you guys are doing it properly, I'm sure you will do it neater than I have. So now if we take a pressure pad, stick that there, and remember the most important thing with pressure pads is they are set to 0, because if they aren't, they won't work. And we will stick a little fire hazard in there, which is an environmental object. So we'll take that and stick that that way around. Let's double check that. I want it to be going down. No. Okay. That way around. There we go. Right. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Oops. And set it to about there. Make sure it's zeroed, because remember the 2D view can be elusive. Double check stuff like this to make sure that it's all on the right axis. So, what I want the dispenser. Remember, I forgot to name all these things. So dispenser 5. We don't need to reset those, so you don't have to worry about it. But pressure pad 5, and then we open it up. It didn't change. Pressure pad 5, and then we open it up and change that to CG switch 5 as well, so we know what it is. Mana cannon 5. Right. So what I want to do is give us a door. There's the door. There it is. Take the door. So what I wanted to do was take the I'm sure you can hear them in the background. Yeah. So take a door and set it to door up down 5, and in the door settings, if we go down to door control, we don't want it to change on the Y, but we want it to move to the right by 5. I'm going to put that there actually, just because it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, and then make sure that's set to 0 as well. Sorry if this is kind of boring, but you know, fucking deal with it. So let's duplicate the checkpoint and drag it down here. So this is where we're trying to get to, basically. So I'm going to set that to 5.2 for now, just because it doesn't matter. So on the dispenser, we want it to here it has go object to spawn, sphere wood. That's fine, but I'm actually gonna no, we don't want to change it like that. We want to go to box wood and put that there. So that's going to drop out a wood box. Move that in a bit more. Yeah, that'll do. So the idea is that you move along here, jump across, it's going to dispense a wooden box, and you push it onto the switch. While that burns, the door's going to get out of the way, you jump down the hole to go to the next area. Just a refresher, for connecting switches to doors, so we go on the switch, go on the actual switch object, go to pressure switch control. My switch isn't set for some reason. My switch is the top object. I'm going to probably change that in the prefab. But yeah, then go affected object is the actual door, and because we've numbered it already, we don't have to piss around in the inspector to find it. So we drag in door 5. So now what we should be able to do is go along here, grab the cannon, go to push it on here, door's going to open, that's going to burn away, jump off the switch, and we're going to get another one. Push it on here, quickly jump down the hole, and we get to the next checkpoint. So that's how that works. But we haven't set up the resets, and we haven't set up the camera. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up the camera, just because it's easy. So what we want to do is go to cam near. I think 35 will be fine, but then for the cannon, we want to know what we're actually trying to get to next. So try and take into account forecasting when you're setting the far value. You want, when the player jumps on the cannon, to know exactly what they're doing, so you don't want stuff to be out of that field of view. So I'm going to set that to about 55. So when we jump down here, in the game view, it's about that far out. Try and do everything in the 6:9 ratio as well, just so you know how it's going to look in the game, because that's the ratio I'm going to build it to. So if we jump on here, we jump on the cannon, and it's a shame that we can't really see the switch, the checkpoint, but it's pretty obvious we're trying to jump down the hole. So on the push, if we push the object, it's going to go down there, and then we can jump down the hole, and there's that other checkpoint. So if we wanted, we could change these checkpoint values to be like minus 75 and minus 100, doesn't really matter. But then when we go across here and push that across, when I go to the checkpoint, that's the new values that get set. Yeah? See how that works? Good. So if we go back now, and if we wanted to reset this puzzle, we would need to reset we need to count everything up. So there's a door, cannon, a dispenser, and a switch. You don't have to worry about fire hazards. So we know that there's 4 objects, so we click on the original checkpoint, go to Puzzle Manager, set that to 4, and then because we've been clever and numbered everything already, this bit's really easy. So we want dispenser 5, and keep looking through the hierarchy. There's door up down 5, keep looking through mana cannon 5, and pressure pad 5, CG switch 5. So now we know that those 4 are the things that we're going to be resetting. So we jump into the game, and we go along here. Because the last checkpoint we touched was this one, we know that when we reset, it's going to reset anything in the immediate puzzle in front. So if we go along here and let's drop this over here and then, I don't know, grow it. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh well. If we grow this and push it on a little bit, and then we reset, bang, we're back to normal. There's a little bit of an issue with the camera there. I'm not really sure what that was all about. But I don't know, it worked that time. You might get a little error, which I've got down here, which I think is based on the animations. I'm not sure, I don't know, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so that's how you set up resets, tags, cameras, all that crap. Hopefully you guys should be able to add all the art stuff now and it'd be pretty seamless. Obviously if there's problems then let me know. But yeah, hopefully I trust in you guys to be able to do this now, which would be nice. Yeah, cool. Right, have fun building that, guys. See you soon.